In the heart of a dense, shadow-draped forest, nestled among ancient trees and forgotten whispers, stood Michael's solitary abode, a quaint cottage that seemed to cower beneath the weight of the surrounding darkness. His days passed in quiet isolation, a monotony broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant cry of nocturnal creatures. On a dreary autumn evening, as twilight cast its eerie pallor upon the land, Michael returned home from his solitary wanderings, the rhythmic crunch of leaves beneath his feet the only sound in the silent gloom. In his haste to seek refuge within the comforting embrace of his humble dwelling, he neglected to secure the door, unwittingly inviting the encroaching shadows into his sanctuary. As night descended like a shroud, obscuring the world in a blanket of impenetrable darkness, an insidious presence crept into Michael's home, its malevolent aura suffusing the air with an oppressive weight. Unseen eyes watched from the gloom, and whispers echoed through the empty halls, a chorus of voices that spoke of forgotten horrors and unspeakable truths. With the first light of dawn, Michael awoke to a world transformed, a world cloaked in a pall of decay and despair. The air hung heavy with the scent of rot and decay, and the once familiar confines of his home seemed twisted and distorted, as if warped by some unseen malevolence. Tracing sinuous patterns across the dust-covered floorboards were the telltale imprints of a presence not of this world, elongated and twisted, like the tendrils of some eldritch horror. Fear gripped Michael's heart as he realized that something had breached the sanctity of his home, a malevolent force that defied comprehension. Desperate attempts to reach out to the outside world yielded only silence, an eerie void that swallowed his cries for help, leaving him isolated and alone in the grip of encroaching darkness. With each passing hour, the oppressive weight of the unseen presence grew, its insidious tendrils entwining around his psyche like a vice. As night fell once more, Michael found himself teetering on the brink of madness, his mind a maelstrom of fear and uncertainty. Shadows danced mockingly at the periphery of his vision, their whispered taunts driving him ever closer to the edge of sanity. Yet amidst the encroaching darkness, a flicker of defiance ignited within Michael's soul, a resolve to confront the unknown terror that lurked in the shadows. Armed with little more than a feeble flashlight and the indomitable strength of his will, he embarked on a harrowing journey into the heart of the abyss. Each step brought him closer to the epicenter of the malevolent presence, a shadowy figure, twisted and contorted, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. It loomed before him like a specter of doom, its form shifting and warping with each passing moment. Yet even as fear threatened to overwhelm him, Michael stood firm, his resolve unyielding in the face of unimaginable terror. With trembling hands, he reached out towards the spectral apparition, his voice a whispered prayer against the encroaching darkness. "I am not afraid," he declared, his words a defiant challenge to the malevolent force that sought to consume him. "You are but a shadow, a specter born of my own fears and insecurities. I cast you out, for you hold no power over me." With each syllable, the shadow flickered and waned, its ethereal form dissipating like smoke upon the wind. And as the last vestiges of darkness vanished into the ether, Michael stood alone in the empty room, his heart heavy with relief and exhaustion. Yet even as he basked in the glow of his hard-won victory, a sense of unease lingered, a gnawing doubt that whispered of unseen horrors lurking just beyond the edge of perception. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet the memory of that fateful encounter haunted him like a specter in the night. Slowly but inexorably, Michael began to unravel, his once sharp mind dulled by the weight of his own fears. Friends and loved ones watched helplessly as he slipped further and further into madness, his once vibrant spirit fading like a dying ember in the encroaching darkness. In the end, Michael became a mere shadow of his former self, a tragic reminder of the fragility of the human psyche in the face of unimaginable terror. And though he had emerged victorious over the shadow that had sought to consume him, it had come at a price too steep to bear, a descent into madness from which there could be no return.